So now we're on our way to Home Depot because you are going to create neck forms.
Yeah, and I'm making you go to the faraway Home Depot because they're the only one that has the wood that I need.
We'll be making some neck forms and showing you how we make them.
DIY with Rafi and Clee.
This is all going to be trial and error because we've never done this before, but it just goes to show, even though you haven't done anything before, you may create something amazing, or we may create a piece of crap.
Yeah, and then we'll have wood for a bonfire, and then we'll just try again. Got everything we needed. We didn't die of heat stroke. We almost died of heat stroke.
It's hot. So essentially what we're going to do is grab this piece and turn it into a bunch of neck forms. And this is really, really heavy wood, which is good because when the winds are bad, then it won't go anywhere.
So we basically marked out 12-inch sections, 1 foot, because I want these to be approximately 12 inches tall when we're done with them. They'll be a little shorter because we'll have to trim some from the top. But I want them to be a foot tall, so that's the first step, is marking those out. So now we have 8 of these, and each one is going to become 2 neck forms.
Yep. Burn out the...
Oh, I sure hope not. I've been cutting my neck forms into their wedge shapes, but I broke the saw with my project. So we've got a bunch of these wedge shapes cut. We still have a couple more to do, and we're gonna take them over to the belt sander and sand them down so they're nice and lovely. Where's the on?
Oh boy.
Which one's on? I really like belt sanding a whole lot. I'm a real woodworker.
Oh god.
So now we have these wedges cut out and sanded, and we're making little base plates for them so that they don't... Pretty solid and heavy. They've got pretty good leverage, but even still they'll be sturdier with one of these little guys on there.
Just a little 1/4 inch base plate.
So these neck forms are sanded on the belt sander. They're rough sanded. I'm gonna do another hand sanding. But right now what I'm gonna do is mark them out because I'm gonna put a slot here and a slot right about there so that my necklace chains have somewhere to sit. So I'm gonna measure it out so that when Rafi goes to cut them, they'll be marked and he'll know exactly what to do. And hopefully you can see this. I have this line marked for how deep approximately I want these cuts to go. And then I have the vertical lines marked out for how far in I want them to be. And I marked them on the top too, because I'm not sure which direction Rafi's gonna be looking at these from when he goes to cut them.
So Clee marked the neck forms for me, and I'm really not sure how I'm gonna cut through these without damaging it. So I'm gonna try to use my jigsaw and see what happens.
So we figured out that the miter saw is actually the best for cutting these things, like so. Before that, we were doing jigsaw and Dremel, and so actually it worked out because now I have some that are wider. They can accommodate beaded necklaces and things, and all on purpose. Totally on purpose.
Right, on purpose. So I've got a 4x4 up here to give it the angle. Not the safest thing to do, but the reason I have this 4x4 here is so I don't accidentally get my fingers in the way.
I think that's actually a 6x6.
Or a 6x6, yeah. Nice even cut.
Very nice. Those are perfect for my thinner chains, and then I'll have some wider ones for my leather cords and beaded necklaces.
Yep.
So I'm sanding them with a rasp and some sandpaper. they're gonna get stained anyway and they're rustic. Miter saw did a little bit of nom 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 on the backside. So I'm just gonna run these on the belt sander one more time to get these little doodads off of here. And before I do the final hand sanding, I am going to take my pencil and erase the pencil marks that I made. I don't want that little pencil mark to be like, I'm here forever. Maybe a bigger eraser would be appropriate. Whatever, I'm working with what's out here. So I got through like half of them before my pencil eraser was like, I can do no more. I gotta go ask Rafi for a bigger eraser. And he's probably gonna be like, oh my God, you use all of my art supplies. My pencil eraser is no more. May I use an eraser of yours?
You're using all my things. All my things for your little project.
I told you you would say that.
I mean, you could try.
It's just so sad. Yeah, let me try that one. It'll do the job.
It is called Magic Rub.
Great. Oh yeah, it does a good job. And it's a lot faster than using a pencil eraser. Done. Marks are erased. It looks so nice. This thing did a great job. Thumbs up. All that's left to do now is I'm gonna give these things a hand sanding, a final hand sanding, just to give it a really nice surface before I apply the stain. Also, now that I've experienced the belt sander, I really am not a huge fan of hand sanding. And so these are all ready to go. And all I have to do now before I apply the stain is probably clean them off because they're covered in wood dust from the sanding. Right, so that got most of the main dust off of there, I think, and also demonstrated why these little base plates are necessary, because it's not easy to tip them over from the back, but as you saw, pretty easy to tip them over that way. I am getting ready to stain these neck forms, and I'm so very excited and also nervous because this is like the final stages. But before I do that, I'm just gonna clean them off real quick with a cloth. The leaf blower got a lot of the stuff off of them, but just to make sure it's a nice clean surface. There's a thunderstorm in the area, so that's a little bit weird and scary, but I'm under the carport, so I think it should be okay. And I've got my neck forms separated into the groups. So these ones are gonna be whitewash and these ones are gonna be Kona.
Apparently our neighbors are screaming bloody murder next door, so...
They're having fun, they're swimming, which isn't recommended with a storm rolling in.
So she's gonna whitewash, white stain, right? What is this that you're using? Yeah, wood stain whitewash.
Whitewash. I'm gonna do these guys whitewash and I'm gonna do these guys Kona. And I've got my Rafi apron so I don't get wood stain
There,
on me.
it says Rafi right there.
Yeah. So the first layer of whitewash is on these guys, and I probably need to do a second coat of whitewash. They look pretty good, but they could use a second coat. So I'm gonna let them dry and do the ebony wood stain and then go back over these. Hopefully they dry because it's raining very epically. Yeah. I pulled my table in closer and I should be okay. So I'm trying to make sure I get the wood stain inside there so it really seals these. Okay, so these are stained and it's like I thought, they're only gonna need one coat. So these little guys should be dry now. So all I have to do is stain this side and then I can move on to the second coat of the whitewash.
So apparently it's just gonna rain for a bunch of days because we had to rush these in because it's super wet out here. And yep, Clee's trying to make everything dry. Your advice to them is that if it's raining, don't leave it out overnight.
No, because it will not dry. They can eventually dry. I don't know how long that's gonna take.
And then we'll move on to the next step.
Yeah, someday. Rafi's eating his feelings. I'm working on these neck forms. They've been drying here in the studio for a couple of days while it continues to biblically downpour outside. I have chosen to use this rag and good old-fashioned elbow grease to basically wipe the excess off, like so. And it's been coming off. I mean, it does take a little effort to do it this way, but it's looking good. And then the next thing I'm gonna do when I get all the excess stain off is I'm going to distress them, which I will show you. This is what it looks like after the initial wipe down. Pretty cool, you can start to see the wood grain coming back into them, which I like. And then I did a preliminary distressing test on one with sandpaper, and it really brings out the wood grain, which looks super rad to me. I'm gonna take this sandpaper, which is a medium grit, and it's not designed for removal so much as smoothing, but I don't wanna take too much of the stain off. Go over each surface, and especially on the edges, which is gonna bring out this distressed wood grain. I would say either take this part outside or just have a designated mess area where you can do some light sanding. I'm just doing the corners of these little base plates. These are really not very aesthetically important because you're not gonna see most of them. However, it's in the details for me always, so I'm just going over the edges and corners so that they look nice. Can't really tell that I did any distressing.
Yeah, you can.
On the white ones.
You can tell.
You can just see it on the corners, really. But it kind of does make a difference.
So here are Clee's neck forms. She did all the preparation work and stuff, and now I'm gonna do some construction. We are pre-drilling 2 holes and then screwing in the base. So yeah, and then once this process is done to all of those, then it's just a matter of varnishing it.
Varnishing them and putting the eye hooks in the back.
Yeah, that is cool. That looks really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
That's on there. Just 1 drill hole towards the front. And then 1 drill hole towards the back. And then you just want to drill it in where it's going, where it's flush with the bottom, so you don't have like a screw sticking out.
These are assembled with their base plates, so they're windproof. Decided to install the eyelet hooks on the back of these before I varnish them, so that way I can varnish around them and seal the drill hole where the eyelet is. So what I'm doing right now is a jewelry test. I've got one of my necklaces on here, and the chain on this one is 24 inches, which is a pretty standard length that I use. For the shorter ones, they're not gonna need the eyelet hook, so it's really for these guys that I'm installing them, and the longer pieces. So I'm gonna measure the back and see where the eyelet hook needs to go. I think about 4 inches down is where the magic number is gonna be.
Cool.
So I've decided that the 4-inch mark is the magic number, so I'm basically just gonna take this here measuring tape and mark out the 4-inch mark down the back.
All right, so Clee is marking where the little eyelets are gonna go, and I'm gonna use the drill and drill just a little pre-hole in there so that the eyelets go in a lot easier. Okay, there we go. That's what it's gonna look like.
Except I'd like it to be vertically oriented,
Except,
if that's possible.
okay, that's what it's gonna look like.
I chose a matte varnish. I don't know if that's the best choice.
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. It's true. These are all done. Hooray! I'm so pleased. They're amazing, actually. They're even better than what I envisioned them to be. Front side. Got the notches in the top to hold the necklace. side profile, back side with eyelet hook, and the necklace chain is just looped onto that. Totally stable. Can't push it over from this side, and I can't push it over from that side. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention that makes these so great is that they will store sandwiched together like this, so you have a pretty flat surface on all sides. I got this super nifty Husky toolbox that has a handle that pulls out like so, and it will roll. It's got very burly wheels on it. My new necklace forms have made their debut, and I'm so thrilled with them. I literally screamed and jumped in the air and high-fived Monica when I saw them set up, and how easy they are to put jewelry on. So now I'm going to show them to you. My neck forms are done, and I'm so pleased. Are you so pleased?
Yeah, I'm so pleased.
I wanted to finish up this tutorial video by going over the time investment and material costs. The materials that I bought were plywood, a 4x4x8 of Douglas fir, stainless steel eyelets, ebony wood stain, whitewash wood stain, and sandpaper. My total material cost was $53.05. Give or take a little bit of monies because I utilized Rafi's varnish, rags, brushes, drywall screws, and his saws and tools. And I know what you're thinking, that is so unfair to Rafi.
It is.
And you know, that's a good point. Additional costs, which are optional. Contract labor paid to Rafi for his skills and his muscles.
Yeah, I did get paid.
I paid Rafi $50.
Not enough.
Plus hugs and kisses. Then the only additional cost was my rolling storage box to transport said neck forms, because they weigh a lot. And that was $42.97. So are you ready for my grand total?
Yeah.
$146.02 plus hugs and kisses. So for about $150, I got these magnificent neck forms done, and I was getting ready to spend $400 with shipping to get neck forms that were inferior.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 16 neck forms.
16 neck forms.
You've got a rolling case.
A rolling case.
That's all of that is included. You have a rolling case where you have extra storage, you have neck forms.
It's a good deal.
That's paying for all of it. It's totally worth it.
And
I mean, and a lot of these materials, like the varnish, I mean, you can varnish. You could decide not to varnish depending on whether or not it's humid in your area. You could decide on the stain. You could get a small stain and just do light stain on them. So you could cut down the cost even more if you wanted to. Really, the only thing that is necessary is the plywood and the Douglas fir.
Yeah. Extra things we had that made life easier were a belt sander and the miter saw.
Yeah.
The miter saw was a little bit taxed in the effort. Maybe you guys have a burlier miter saw or a different way of cutting those on the diagonal. And these things are gonna last forever.
Yeah, and these will be able to take a beating. They could get dirty. You could resand them. You could repaint them, restain them.
Yeah. So that's it. I hope you guys liked our DIY neck form tutorial. Let us know if you try this yourself and what results you got. And have an awesome day.
Adios.